Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Wood, and today we're going to be learning all about the Mona Lisa. But now, as always, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell fact from fiction. Consider this. If you look very closely at the Mona Lisa, the world's most famous face, you might notice something's missing. She has no eyebrows or eyelashes. For centuries, people assumed this was just a popular beauty trend for women during the Italian Renaissance. But rumor has it, Leonardo da Vinci originally painted eyebrows on the Mona Lisa. They just accidentally got wiped off during a botched cleaning or restoration effort. What do you think? Is this an actual fact or just too good to be true? We'll find out at the end of the episode. Now for your word of the day. Our word for today is sfumato. That's S-F-U-M-A-T-O. Sfumato is an Italian art term referring to the technique of allowing tones and colors to shade gradually into one another, producing softened outlines and hazy forms. Instead of using harsh, distinct lines to separate different parts of a painting, an artist using sfumato creates a seamless transition between colors and shadows. This is what Leonardo da Vinci did to create the incredibly lifelike and somewhat mysterious quality of Mona Lisa's face, especially around the eyes and that world-famous smile. The word sfumato comes from the Italian verb sfumare, which translates to tone down or to evaporate like smoke. The root of this word is fumo, the Italian word for smoke. Leonardo da Vinci himself described the technique as painting, quote, without lines or borders in the manner of smoke. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about the Mona Lisa. Number 1, the Mona Lisa effect, that eerie feeling that her eyes are following you around the room, is a real scientific phenomenon, but the Mona Lisa's not really a great example of it. If you ever looked at a portrait and felt like the subject's eyes were tracking your every move, you've experienced a psychological phenomenon famously dubbed the Mona Lisa effect. This optical illusion happens when an artist paints a subject looking directly straight ahead at the viewer rather than off to the side. Because the perspective of the painted eyes remains fixed on a two-dimensional plane, your brain interprets the gaze as directed at you no matter where you're standing in the room. It's a little trick of geometry and human perception that artists have used for centuries to make their subjects feel more engaging and alive. In a delightful bit of irony, researchers recently discovered that the Mona Lisa doesn't actually demonstrate the Mona Lisa effect. A 2019 study by German researchers meticulously measured the angle of her gaze and found she's actually looking about 15 degrees to the viewer's right. The fact that so many people consistently convince themselves that the Mona Lisa is staring right at them just goes to show how the power of suggestion can really shape our perceptions. Number 2. The famous Mona Lisa smile appears to change depending on which part of her face you're looking at. For centuries, people have been captivated by her mysterious expression, which seems to fluctuate between a warm smile and a completely neutral look. This optical illusion isn't magic. It's a manipulation of human visual perception by Leonardo da Vinci. He applied his sfumato technique around her eyes and mouth, blurring the exact edges of the features. When you look directly at her lips, your central vision, which picks up fine details, sees a relatively flat, unsmiling mouth. But your peripheral vision is much better at picking up shadows, so when your eyes drift up to her forehead, her mouth suddenly appears to curve upward into a distinct smile. Leonardo spent hours studying facial muscles and human perception to understand how we process visual information. Researchers have found that he practiced this technique in other works before the Mona Lisa. He used this exact same technique on an earlier portrait called La Bella Principessa. While the technical brilliance of the shifting smile was definitely Da Vinci's doing, the idea that her expression is deeply mysterious or hiding a secret is actually just relatively modern historical lore. For the first 300 years of the painting's life, no one really thought the smile was all that enigmatic. Early art historians just praised it for looking remarkably lifelike. It wasn't until the mid-19th century, during the Romantic era, that art critics like Théophile Gautier and Walter Pater began writing incredibly dramatic, poetic essays about the portrait. They projected their own imaginations onto the canvas, famously describing the Mona Lisa as a mysterious, seductive figure with a hypnotic gaze and an unknowable secret. This 19th century hype caught on with the public, and the myth of the enigmatic smile was officially born. Number 3. The Mona Lisa became a global superstar after it was stolen by a handyman in 1911, and the investigation dragged in the likes of Pablo Picasso for interrogation. While art historians always respected the Mona Lisa, it was not widely known to the general public until a dramatic heist catapulted it to the front pages of newspapers worldwide. On August 21st, 1911, a former Louvre employee named Vincenzo Peruggia hid inside a broom closet overnight and walked out with the painting hidden under his smock the next morning. If you're wondering how he could just walk out with it tucked under his smock, the Mona Lisa's a lot smaller than most people think. It's about 30 inches tall and 21 inches wide. Oddly enough, Peruggia only had the opportunity to steal the painting because the Louvre had hired him to help protect their collection by putting it behind glass. And in another delightful bit of irony, the theft was discovered by a painter who came in to make a piece in protest of this new protective glass. He wanted to paint a picture of someone staring at their own reflection in the glass in front of the Mona Lisa to show how the glass got in the way and people couldn't see the work, only to discover that he couldn't see the work, not because of the glass, but because it had been stolen. The theft caused a frenzy, with massive crowds gathering at the Louvre just to stare at the empty space on the wall where the painting used to hang. Suddenly, the image of the Mona Lisa was plastered across daily newspapers all around the world, transforming her from a respected Renaissance artifact into an international celebrity practically overnight. During the search for the missing masterpiece, the French police cast a wide net and actually brought in a young Pablo Picasso as one of their prime suspects. Picasso had been caught with some Iberian statues stamped property of the Louvre, so you can see where the police would definitely have their suspicions. He was heavily interrogated, but eventually cleared in this heist. Meanwhile, Peruggia kept a postcard of the Mona Lisa on his mantle while the actual priceless painting was hidden in a false-bottom trunk in his tiny Paris apartment for about 2 years. He was finally caught when he tried to sell it to an art dealer in Florence. Thousands came out to see the Mona Lisa as it returned to Paris, and that's how it became the most famous painting in the world. Number 4. Leonardo da Vinci worked on the Mona Lisa for over a decade and brought it with him everywhere he moved until he passed away. Most commissioned portraits are completed within a few months and promptly handed over to the client who paid for them. But Lisa Gherardini, the woman who posed for this portrait, probably never actually saw the piece. Leonardo da Vinci never actually delivered the Mona Lisa to the wealthy silk merchant who ordered it for his wife. He began painting the portrait in Florence around 1503, but his perfectionism, busy schedule, and it seems kind of distractibility meant he was constantly tweaking and refining it. Over the years, the painting became a sort of personal obsession for him, serving as a private canvas where he would experiment with all his latest theories on optics, nature, and anatomy. As Leonardo moved across Europe for various royal commissions, that little poplar panel traveled with him in his luggage. He took it from Florence to Milan, then to Rome, and eventually all the way to the court of King Francois I in France. When Leonardo passed away in France in 1519, the painting was still in his possession and was subsequently acquired by the French king. And that's how it ended up in the permanent collection in the Louvre in Paris. And our fifth and final fun fact for today: the Mona Lisa may be small, but she's incredibly strong. She's shown tremendous resilience, having survived centuries of acid attacks, thrown rocks, and even a flying teacup. Because of her immense fame, the Mona Lisa has unfortunately been the target of numerous vandalism attempts over the decades. In 1956, the painting suffered 2 separate attacks. One person threw acid at the lower portion of the panel, and later that year, a Bolivian man threw a rock that permanently chipped a piece of pigment near her left eyebrow. These incidents prompted the French government to create a special protective glass enclosure for her long-term safety. In the subsequent decades, the wisdom of that decision has been proven out repeatedly. In 1974, while the painting was on tour in Tokyo, a woman tried to spray red paint at the glass. Then in 2009, an angry visitor took the teacup they bought from the gift shop and threw it right at the Mona Lisa. Today, the Mona Lisa is arguably the most fiercely protected piece of art on the entire planet. It sits inside a custom-built, climate-controlled enclosure behind an inch-thick layer of bulletproof glass that prevents any physical contact whatsoever. The display case maintains a strict temperature and humidity level to make sure the 500-year-old poplar wood panel doesn't warp or crack over time. The enclosure even has a specialized lighting system designed to illuminate the painting perfectly without causing the sensitive pigments to fade. Now for some news you can use. If you ever plan to visit the Louvre to see the Mona Lisa in person, here's a little tip to try to avoid some of the crowds. Use the Porte de Lion entrance. Most tourists immediately flock to the iconic glass pyramid in the main courtyard, which inevitably leads to massive, hours-long security lines. The Louvre has multiple entrances, though, and the Porte de Lion is a lesser-known side door located in the southern wing that often has little to no line at all. This entrance is incredibly convenient because it leads you directly to the Denon wing, placing you just a short walk away from the room where the Mona Lisa is displayed. By arriving right when the museum opens and using the side door, you can be one of the first people in the room to catch a look at Leonardo's masterpiece. Finally, the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, I asked, is it true that Mona Lisa's missing eyebrows and eyelashes were accidentally wiped off in a cleaning? Well, believe it or not, this one's a fact. For centuries, art historians assumed that Leonardo da Vinci intentionally left them off to follow Renaissance beauty trends of the time. But in 2007, a French engineer named Pascal Cotte used ultra-high resolution digital scans to look beneath the very top layers of the painting. His incredible 240 megapixel images revealed faint, hidden traces of a beautifully painted left eyebrow and delicate eyelashes that had completely disappeared from the surface over time. Experts now widely believe that early restorers inadvertently scrubbed the delicate facial hair away while aggressively trying to clean or varnish the painting. Now, I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about the Mona Lisa with me today. Be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.